everyone. I'm Eva August, and welcome to this episode of Gold Table Talk. I'm really excited. Andre is with me today. Andre, thanks so much for being here. I'm going to tell you all about Andre. You're going to learn about him. If you don't know him yet, shame on you. What is really exciting for me about the session is we get to hang out with leading property professionals again. I'm really grateful to have you here and pick your brain. Huge amount of years of experience, and we're going to start off by, I know quite a bit, but share with our listeners your background in real estate, where it started. Fast forward to today.
Yes, brilliant. And thank you very much. It's a great opportunity and a great privilege to be part of this. So, look, as a property practitioner, registered with the Estate Agents Affairs Board back in the day, started my rookie year in the east of Pretoria for a company called Property Merchants.
What year was that when you say back in the day?
The older I get, the more back in the day it gets. So, yes. So that's about 17, 18 years ago.
Incredible.
Yes, and was very... I worked with a company called Property Merchants then. My principal or my mentor then was a gentleman called Werner Eksteen. And
First mentor.
Yeah.
They're unforgettable.
Totally unforgettable. And I must admit, that is one of the requirements, I'd say, sort of entry going into the industry is go and find a good mentor.
So what made you get into real estate at such a young age?
Well, I mean yes.
World is your oyster, plenty options, a different time in terms of what the educational requirements were. It was a much lower barrier of entry, I guess. Yeah. But what made you go into it?
Well, the real estate industry was doing really well then. Okay. Remember, that was just before everything, all the interest rates went haywire and upside down. And I figured, I'm in the east of Pretoria. We saw a lot of developments there. Okay. This is the way I should go. And, there's some good opportunities there. And you're right, young and gung-ho, and yeah, I was lucky, I guess, in the sense that I found my feet in the right people early, and we hit the market. We did subdivisions, we did joint venture, we did selling of real estate, property management. There was so many opportunities, but also a lot of learning had to happen. Sure. And yeah, that's it. That's where it started. And I mentioned this before in the webinar. I had my first experience with technology, and Werner had this database, a substantial database, and back then it wasn't as a mission to get data, but before we launched a development, we'd send out SMSs, text in the day. Wow. So we had the system, and we loaded a lot of data into the system, and sent out the invite for our new launch. And so the message went out.
So different the way
2 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, okay.
It didn't work.
Oh God, no.
And so we had very, very irritated potential buyers.
Clients with your name attached.
Yes, with our name attached to it. We did manage to sell out 70% of the development, and we managed to get about 3 mandates from those SMSs.
Oh my gosh.
So that was the first sort of technology experience, SMSs. Didn't quite work. But as they say, there's no such thing as bad publicity.
Exactly. And you know what? In terms of that, I almost feel like with the right product at the right time, you can't do anything wrong in terms of the mistakes you make, the way you communicate. Yep. If it's right for the market, there's a lid for every pot. So now that's like 17 years ago. Yep. I know you by reputation, and when I encountered you for the first time in the last 2 to 3 years, you were already a business owner, pretty successful business owner in real estate in the north of Johannesburg. So you became a business owner. You know what it meant to succeed as a leader, connecting the dots in hindsight. From that journey, one thing I have in common with you is I also got into it really back in the day.
Yeah.
Before the global recession of 2008, like almost a decade before that. And that was so important, and I felt so much in the real estate industry that was worth more than anything. Yes. And what we're seeing now is, obviously, I'll always say for months and months and years, and you probably will as well, 100 reasons why someone should consider a career in real estate.
Yes.
So based on your background and where you come from, what advice would you give to that Andre, the
Yes.
rookie
Yes.
of that time, but of today?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, I'm very passionate about the young people coming to our industry. I think there's a great opportunity to become a property practitioner. You're right, the barrier of entry is low, but to be a successful estate agent is a whole different thing.
Correct.
And so go and find the right mentor, go and find the right education, go and find the right exposure, go and find the right people that you surround you with. And that'll probably lay the foundations well. Rest assured, it's very hard.
It is hard.
So if you don't do that, you're going to fail quickly.
It is hard. I spoke to a group of aspiring real estate agents that are all in a 9-to-5 job, corporate career.
Yeah.
And right up front, we had to make it clear that you're considering leaving a 9-to-5, Monday to Friday,
Yes.
for an 18-hour day,
Yeah.
7 days a week.
Yes.
Right? That's what it takes.
That's it. And I must be honest with you, if I have that conversation with new entries to our industry, I make a point to disillusion them very quickly.
Like scare them away.
Just look, you're not going to have a salary. You have to be able to sustain yourself for 6 months. If you want to become a career estate agent, if you want to be able to pay your bills by being an estate agent, brace yourself. There's no monthly salary. You're going to have to sustain yourself. You're going to have a business plan. And we see this in our qualification requirements. A big part of the PDE4 is have a business strategy, have a business plan, you know. So do you have that? The answer is often no.
Correct.
We don't have that. We sold a property once or twice. We know we paid an estate agent quite a lot of money. We figured we'll become an estate agent. Well, I mean, that's not how this is going to go.
Gosh.
Yes.
I have the same experience 100%. So you spoke earlier in previous conversations that we had about this new generation of property professionals.
Yes.
And I mentioned that I'm seeing quite an exciting trend of people that are choosing real estate not as a fallback, not as I've got nothing else to do, I'm in my retirement years.
Yeah.
People are choosing it younger and younger, and they are intentional about their career.
Yeah.
I don't know what word you used for that, but give me a little bit about your perspective of that and the excitement around that.
Yes. So, first of all, there has to be passion. I mean, in any industry that you pursue, in any business, in any sort of career that you pursue, find the passion first. The next thing is, and unfortunately, I don't want to get too philosophical about politics in SA, but we're staring down at 35% unemployment. It gets worse.
But that's a big deal.
It gets worse in younger age groups as well. So what real estate has to offer you is you get to call it a career. You get to call it, I'm being a property practitioner. Plus, you're learning entrepreneurial skills in your career. So it's a great opportunity for you to grow. I call it the hustle. I mentioned that earlier.
It is a hustle.
To become an entrepreneurial side, to develop your entrepreneurial side, but also become a professional. So that's the opportunity that real estate has to offer. It's not a fallback. If you do it right, it can be so rewarding, but do it right.
We can't speak enough about that. So it's often compared to other careers where you have to really pay the school fees literally for 7 to 10 years. And while the school fees financially and time-wise aren't as high in real estate, the school fees are equally as weighted in the work ethic, the teachability, the hours that you put in, the amount of rejection you have to deal with, and the person you have to grow into.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not as in your face. You're gonna learn this by being frustrated and lack of cash flow. Petrol in your car, the initial sort of, and I use this often, driving around in my girlfriend's car, knocking on doors, because that's what we had to do.
Exactly.
My principals and my mentors in my life.
Not send out a Facebook advert.
No.
We had to knock on doors.
Yes, we had a list.
Yeah.
We got to go through there. We get bitten by dogs. Knock on the door.
Gosh, of course.
No, I mean that was how we had to go about it, and to get that mandate, and then going back home, explaining to your girlfriend or your wife or your partner, this is where we are at the moment. I'm concerned about my cash flow. I have this commission lined up in 3 months' time if the stars align, but it's worth it. It's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. changing your strategies, changing your markets, understanding your market, the challenges in your market. Why am I not getting leads? Why am I not getting listings? That's the school fees that you're talking about, but it's ongoing.
That's why the mentor is so critical.
Exactly.
And I think because you went through that, when you became a leader in a business in real estate, you were able to mentor and guide and lead because you were there.
Yes, I mean, it's changed, and thank goodness for technology. You know, we can now see, and there's a term I want to introduce in our industry, it's called a productive listing. Is I can't just go out, and that's a rookie mistake. You employ a rookie, he'll come into the office waving his mandate in the air, 20 million rand listing. I'm going to make R1 million from this transaction. And
I'm
you go,
going to, yes, in 2 weeks.
Yes, yeah. 2 weeks time.
Yeah, exactly.
He never pitches in the office again, waiting for his 20 million rand mandate to realize, and it's just not the way it goes. So understanding your listings, have a productive listing. You know, understand that the average, just fundamentals. The average house price in South Africa is 1.1 million rand. If you're listing 10 million rands properties, it's a dream. Correct. Go and understand your market.
Correct.
That's where the success lies and the remuneration lies. The sustainability as well.
That's right. The business plan, as you said earlier.
Correct.
I could talk to Andre for days about leadership and building a successful real estate career, because it is a rare minority that go as far and as long and as hard as you have. But I want to flip the coin a little bit, if that's okay. So fast forward to right now, and our relationship with you. Andre is the head of sales of PayProp. And for everyone in real estate, we know that PayProp is the leading software management payment system integrated into banks, the most secure system for companies to protect the financial integrity of a rental property, for landlords to feel secure in the management of their portfolio and their property. So that's where Andre is now, head of sales. And you add so much value to the industry with everything you've come from. So I'm going to flip the coin a little bit and talk a little bit about the rental market.
Yes.
So we spoke about earlier the rookies. I'm seeing a lot more getting into it.
Yes.
This week alone, 3, I have to say it, but I'll say Gen Z property professionals asked me a question, and I had my perspective on it, but I'll pick your brain about this because there's no right or wrong answer.
Yeah.
The question now with these up and coming property professionals and people that just do whatever they do, not necessarily real estate. In the current market, you spoke about our economy.
Yeah.
If I had to talk to a mentor, and my mentor was Andre, and I've got a normal life, do I rent or do I buy now in this economy? And why? What would you say versus when you were that age?
Okay. Well, there's a couple of things to consider, and you're right. You mentioned the Gen Zs and their appetite for liabilities. Let's call it that.
Right. I think the appetite's low.
Yes, and
versus what it was for us.
Yes, I mean, by the way, back in while I was a rookie, and this was Werner, my mentor's policy, is go and invest in real estate. Okay,
I still believe in that.
Yeah, build a real estate portfolio and pursue the annuity income that it has to offer. And real estate's always going to see capital growth, and
always
of those,
in the long run.
Always
no matter
in the
what
long
happens.
Correct.
Yeah,
and so
I agree.
The new generation is going, well, if I buy a car, there's a liability. I have to have licenses. I have to maintain it. If I buy a house, there's a liability. I have to pay rates and taxes. I have to pay all of these things. Where is the upside? Is there really so much capital growth? Should I really go and invest in unit trust? And how do I think about my investment strategies? And I'm sure as hell I'm not going to give investment advice. But the way we think about real estate has changed. In saying that, we do find the banks going, we want to finance rent to buy properties. We want to put, we want people to have a diverse portfolio. It should probably include some real estate.
Hey.
There's our new government of national unity. We saw a change in the sentiment in the market at the moment.
Yes,
that's why I asked coming in today is, how's the sentiment going in the sales market? Because it seems to be changing.
It does. It has started changing. And I think for me, the answer to those students that I was chatting to, similar to you, was, well, it depends on what you want.
Yeah.
Do you want to travel the world? Do you need to be fixed? Are you engaged? What's up with the family situation and work and employment?
Yes.
But I'll always fall back to my default that the best time to invest in real estate is now.
Yeah.
The pricing's not going to go down.
It isn't. And you know what they have going
Long
for
term.
them? Yeah. What they have going for them is access to information.
Yeah.
You know, the first properties I bought was in Sunnyside, by the way, and it was a simple back of a cigarette box calculation.
What?
It's like
Tiny apartment.
250,000 Rand.
Yeah.
First property, I can generate 3,500 Rand rent.
That's pretty amazing.
It makes sense.
Yes.
And then got in there. The body corporate was mismanaged. There was special levies passed quickly after I purchased it. It just didn't work quite well. Also managed to invest in vacant land, which was a bad investment in my personal capacity. Didn't understand the rezoning requirements, didn't understand the challenges, all of those school fees. So the new generation have access to more information. There's some great insights into your investment strategy. Is it going to be a primary residence? You know, or what is your family circumstances?
Correct.
Is it going to be a venture? Is it going to be an investment in a portfolio? So again, the access to information should guide you. Yeah. Go and find it. Yes. Go and ask the right questions, and maybe it's a good investment. That's as far as I'm willing to go with advice.
In terms of buying to rent for investment, I always it was a natural default to fall back on the data that PayProp gives nationally. You guys have rental index data to show what the general rental market is doing in terms of performance, risk, return on investment, average rentals for specific specifications. Yeah. So you guys have always offered, PayProp have always offered the intelligence, this information that you're talking about to help us make the decision on any particular deal. And so if you can invest for rental, you must. And if you can't, you must, I guess.
Yes.
And find a way.
Yeah.
So let's talk about one more question that I actually have from a viewer, because we were chatting on social media and they knew that. And I said, hold your question. We're doing an episode with PayProp. Yeah. Okay.
Good.
So something I learned from you is that currently in South Africa, now we're sitting in August 2024, at least 1 million homeowners have their property on the market to find a good tenant, and they're doing it themselves privately.
Correct.
For whatever reason, they're not entrusting a company or an estate agent that's associated with the secure systems to find their return on investment tenant.
Yeah. Okay. Look, I'll probably take that a little bit further and say, and this stat comes from the banks, is there's 10 million households that are renting.
Okay.
Now, you'll argue that
20%? No.
Yeah, well, I mean
10 million people. Okay.
That's people who don't own their properties. For the banks, that is potential mortgages to sell to, okay? But then you have the rent to own market, and like you said, we think, and based on rough estimates, there's 1 million mandates out there. This is now the estate agent in me going.
That we know of,
there's 1 million opportunities.
Yeah.
Now, unfortunately, and maybe this is historically, a lot of landlords and property owners are going, I don't want to use an estate agent. And I had an incident with a friend recently who said, Andre, I was pursuing using an estate agency, or I used an estate agency. The estate agency got sequestrated or liquidated, and I'm not concerned about my deposits.
Oof.
And so
this has happened a lot, I'm afraid, in the market.
You're right. This is the bad. This is the bad side of, and so you're saying I'm reconsidering using an estate agent, but the answer is you have to use the right estate agent. You have to use an estate agent that's transparent. You have to use an estate agent that gives you regular feedback on where the deposits are. If there's an application that can give you insights into my payments and my maintenance and so on and so on. Estate agents have so much value to add.
Of course.
There's another spin, well, not a spin, there's another insight to this. And we've seen this in COVID, is monitoring the payments, regular payments of your tenants. COVID happened.
Yes.
People's personal circumstances changed. Did we do another credit check? Us as estate agents want to place good tenants. We want to have a book that's 100% payment on time There's no delinquent tenants, okay? Estate agents' ability to monitor payments should be negotiated in their mandate, should be negotiated in their lease. If my tenant, and I mean this as an estate agent, misses a payment, I need to know why.
100%. And quickly.
And quickly.
Yeah.
Am I doing a check again? And what's happening with their affordability, the circumstances?
Gosh.
And landlords don't have access to that information.
No, they don't.
The hands-on management skill lies with a good, transparent, well-reporting a property practitioner, management agent.
What you just said was huge. I know that there's a particular time that that lapses before an offer to purchase on the sale of the property has to be reapplied for to get mortgage approval, bond approval,
yes,
because you might have been retrenched in that period of time. The data has changed. We need to recheck.
Yeah, the banks have learned this.
Yes.
They'll approve a bond and they'll only lodge once they've done another credit check. Because now you've gone and bought another car or whatever the case may be, and your affordability is not the same as it was 3 months ago. And we have to do the same.
Overnight.
Exactly.
Quite right. So let's just wrap that up, that one particular thing. At least 1 million homeowners that we know of don't really feel congruent about employing an agent.
Yeah.
They might think it's expensive. What am I paying monthly management fees for and commissions?
Yeah.
When you said they need to engage with a reputable company,
yes,
the first thing that came to mind was check that the agent that you are engaging with is licensed with the PPRA.
Correct.
Absolutely. There are a lot of agencies that are not licensed.
Correct.
What other tips would you give a homeowner so that they feel more comfortable in vetting the managing agent?
So, to me, the conversation around the coffee table, when you go and present or you want to get your mandate as an agent, the questions you should sell your service, the question that is coming from the landlord, testing your knowledge, you should be more knowledgeable than them. That is simple.
Guys, estate agents, you've got to know more than your client about real estate.
And that's become harder. It's become harder because landlords know a lot. All of the information they have access to.
They do.
For me to look after your property and to look after one of your biggest assets, I have to sell my services. I have to sell my skills. What are the arrows in my quiver? Well, it's my knowledge. It's my technology. It's the way I'm going to market your property. It's the way I take photographs, the way I describe it. It's the platforms that I advertise on. I have to blow your socks off.
How your money is managed. Your rental income is managed.
Exactly.
Am I using a normal bank account with an Excel spreadsheet, or is my money safe and secure with PayPro?
That's right.
Things like that.
That's right.
Okay.
We have an app, and I don't want to just plug PayPro, but we have an app that gives you that transparency. If you're a landlord with 5 properties, you'll have access to all 5 of your properties. You'll know that there's deposit.
And it's live data.
It's live data.
Check the performance.
You'll see the payment of the funds. Transparency. That is us empowering agents to say, this is what you have, the arrow in your quiver when you come to list properties. Use it. It's a listing tool.
Correct. No, I love that. Look, the property that we invest in for rental purposes is the biggest, one of the greatest assets we'll own.
Yes.
And it's got to be trusted, it's got to be well managed, and it's got to be protected with the right people.
Correct.
And whilst those 1 million people maybe have had bad experience, there are so many more great estate agencies that can support a landlord.
Correct.
It's just that the painful experiences are louder than what's possible.
Look, you're absolutely right. It's our responsibility to be credible, professional representatives of our industry. And the way we sell ourselves is important. We didn't do ourselves any favors in the past. I've said that before.
You have.
But we have to change the sentiment in the market. And, obviously being associated with a great franchise helps. It builds credibility. Your ability to list and look after someone else's property, it helps for that.
Oh my gosh. Andre, isn't he great, guys? Please come on the show again. I've got a lot more questions, and we're actually busy curating more questions from the public that you could really add a lot of value.
Yes.
Thank you for being here. Wasn't Andre great? Andre van Rooyen, Head of Sales, PayPro.
Massive pleasure, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks.